Hello, my name is Micaiah Stevens from havenstudios.net. This is you can reach me at support@havenstudios.net. This is a video response to Dapper Dino. He has a new game coming out. That's pretty cool. He's asking people for a survey and information about it, and he's sharing with us how to some of the stuff that he's working on in the game works, including this a simple notification manager.
Do you
Yes, I
want to
have to
learn how
watch
to
ads
become a
too.
graphic designer and make a living?
Anyway, so I decided to add a few points, and now I'm making a video. So, and for a few points, I mean a ton of points. So, there's sort of so. Anyways, one of the first things I was thinking there's we're talking about singleton behaviors. There's sort of a newer ideas behind singletons and stuff I've learned, and to make them a little bit better. They're just improvements. If you know whatever system that Dap, Dapper Dino has working for him is cool. Here's some suggestions to try to improve that. Anyway, so we have this. This is a test. It's which is the notification, and then it just runs, and then we have this game is started. Um, cool. So then we wanted to kick off a. Oh, is that probably no? That's probably anyway. Sorry. Under the game handler, we wanted to start the game. Um, no, there we go. Anyway, so this runs a series of things, and then we can actually start the game, and then we can. So this kind of works as intended, um, and it's cool. So it just. Part of this sort of thing, and then one of the thing, I guess one of the says starts the game timer. Just says starts this thing, and then waits a few seconds, and then we realized we could actually also, if you want to turn this off, you could just set the new notifications. Um, but part of this is like, hey, that's kind of a lot of um, it's like you have to handle this through the an instance the static method just like he has set up. Um, excuse me, which I was talking about that I guess we'll talk about this a little bit, and then we'll get into some of the misuse of this that could happen. So the static notification manager, you could do it this way where you and it's kind of with the standard sort of things that like you're right that's everybody's doing this way is you check if it's not equal to null and then you return it. You can also find it if you need to find it in the scene, and if you can't find it in the scene, then you have this public static method to create a new instance, and you create the instance and return it. Um, anyways, maybe we'll show you the fade out notification, which it does this little idea that we wanted to fade out, but then it's sort of like it does this really bizarre thing now that we're sort of, and we noticed over here we're creating we're spamming this create new instance every time we do this, and you look on the right. That you'll see a lot of things. So it's like, why? What was so bad that we were doing here? So, anyways, we for the fade out notification, we were just saying, hey, we want to fade out this instance, and then so we fade out the text, and then we destroy the instance, and then some reason at this point now we are getting this spam of the spam in here and the spam in our thing over here. And if you look at sort of like what's happening, it might give you a hint to look at the game object, is that we are actually um, we're creating this this instance of this object through the create instance. So why is it being destroyed? Well, the instance of the object is not actually, it's a static mono behavior um, that we're sort of finding and creating, and you do have to put it in the resources. So we don't have to have this in the scene. So we're creating and that's kind of, you can sort of tell on the clone that we have the clone of this object here, and so we've created the object here. So we click clear. We're going to click spam test once, and then it says we're creating a new instance and we're creating a new clone. And we click it again, we're creating a new instance and we're creating a clone. And you're like, what's going on here? Well, this is a mono behavior attached to a game object. And when you're saying, hey, I want to destroy the instance, for whatever reason, you're actually destroying the so it's like as if like we could actually start to do something similar if we run the game and we get this problem. We can actually drag and drop this, and it sort of creates this. Oh, and actually, here, let me turn off that code on this. Um, yeah, let's turn off it this way. Like if we do this is part of a little bit, but maybe this is a better way to handle this. So then we go into the game handler, and after we run this, so after we do this, let's just say destroy as an example that we want to destroy this game object. Maybe this is not how you'd want to handle this, but it sort of became kind of an interesting way to do this. So we have this game object, and then we're creating it, and then now we have this other one, and then we every time, so we have this game object, and yeah, so and it's like we can do like, oh hey, let's try a new one, so it's a brand new one here, and then so we don't need to create it, so then it's going to say it's so like what it's actually doing is, hey, there's the message that we're sort of seeing, but it's actually saying, oh, you want to destroy the mono behavior? Okay, I've destroyed the mono behavior, and since that is gone, it doesn't see the instance anymore, and it creates a new instance. But because we're destroying that after we do that, it destroys the game. It destroys the mono behavior. So to get around this, we actually have a we could actually just to get around this, we actually came up with under the notification manager, we actually have this ability to say when you on destroy, you could actually run this on destroy code, and then it just says, hey, if the instance not equal to no, and the instance.gameObject not equal to no, then we destroy it. It's sort of like you have to do a few checks on this. So now when we run our test, we can actually um, yeah, so we're sort of still good. Oh, interesting. I'm not sure why. But anyways, it's a little bit better way to handle. I thought this would actually destroy the game object every time I. Yeah, there we go. It's a little bit. It's destroying it every time now. Why is that not working under the game handler? Oh, it's because I. Yeah. So now if we turn this back on, we can actually now destroy it. We're destroying the mono behavior, which then says, hey, I've been destroyed. Um, so destroy it. And then we can actually, oh, we should be able to, oh, maybe it's because under the notification manager, we have to set the instance to null. Oh, no, we do that. Hmm. Oh, oh, okay, yeah, okay, I know what's happening. It's destroying it on its own, which we don't want to do anymore. No? Oh, maybe. Anyway, so that's it's sort of getting out of the scope of the video, but okay. So now we wanted to showcase some other different examples of things that we've noticed. It's not anything terrible. It's just that when people start looking at this and start doing different things. So we have this. It's sort of the same idea, but we have this sort of idea that we have a my instance, and then we have a my second instance, and then all of a sudden it's missing, and we get this missing reference. The notification manager has been destroyed, and you're still trying to access it. So it's just through another kind of another example of the oops. Wow. Oh yeah. I think it's because I'm sort of yeah. Oh whoo. Come on. Yeah, see, it's like I'm over abusing this system, and I think it's really destroying my computer because it's like it's not cleaning up objects very clearly. Um, so, and I'm sort of way going crazy on this. Anyways, so let me get that back up. Sorry, little technical difficulties. It's sort of the thing. Like the more you use this, the more you kind of see like, wow, that's not good. And I sort of, admittedly, am doing stuff that I shouldn't be doing in ways that I shouldn't be doing it. Um, so please feel free to complain to at support at havenstudios.net, and we'd be happy. It's my game company, so I work for three. This is kind of my private channel. We probably will put out a Haven Studios company channel here shortly at some point. Anyway, so under the bad, yeah, let's do this even worse. Is we're gonna have this bad game handler that is sort of gonna do this sort of same thing. We're gonna run, and so why is it crashing and saying that it's missing the game handler? And so we look into what the actual bad game handler. It's not. I'm trying to. In recording this a couple times, I have this bad notification manager you might see in the code here. It's not the same that the notification originally was bad. It's just I'm just trying to abuse the notification manager and showcase that it's creating problems. So anyway, so that there's this big idea about singletons is that you create a instance of a singleton that you should which is probably not the and seeing all this is probably not the best way to handle singletons now. So we have this instance, and we stuff our instance into this notification manager, so we have a local copy, and then you can actually if you don't destroy it, we can actually just set the notification, and this should work all the time. Not a problem, hopefully, if the game doesn't. Well, is it? Wow, maybe I need to reboot my computer. I think I've recorded this several times, and it's like I've crashed it. I think we've made our point with Unity. Let's. I guess I have to reboot, and I'm not sure I want to do that. So let's talk about the. So we have the instance, and then we create a new instance. Well, how can we create a new instance in this bad behavior handler? That's because that's sort of one of the things. Like when you create this new instance, this should not be public. That's sort of one of those, like one of those sort of semi-bad. I understand when people are creating YouTube tutorials and they're trying to um, go fast and create things, and like I would, and sort of like, but it's the idea here is that you're not it's like you're trying to help yourself not be limited in your to do this, like you're trying to help yourself not create bad behavior by coding in a little bit better way. So the only way you should be able to create the instance, if you're going to do it this way, is through this private function through here, and then that creates the private function that returns, and that's the only way you should be able to create the new instance. You shouldn't give people access. You could, if you sort of were creating this in a little bit better way, but I think in this sort of singleton manner, you don't want to give up control of the singleton outside of the class. Anyways, so let me, I'm trying to think if I should just kickstart Unity once more and see if I can showcase the good example of, I should have rebooted my computer. It's like, and that's sort of it, like when you're destroying and deleting and creating all this data, it's like you really need to sort of manage it in such a way that's doing good. And it's partly because of what I'm doing to my computer and to my Unity, just to run through the paces and really anyway, so then we say, hey, I'm tired of my computer dying, so let's kick off the good game handler, which is sort of using a different system, which hopefully will not blow up. And so now so now we can just spam this as many times as we want. In fact, we can actually say, like, this is the notification manager. We can actually just delete that and say, hey, I can just run it again, and this is like float code. Just this. But so why is that so much better? And why can I just delete it and and not worry about this in the scene anymore? and it's partly because we're still sort of we could still load it from the resources, but in our new notification managers, it's like the updated sort of high tech way to sort of do singletons now, in my opinion. So we still sort of I was commenting in my code. Did we talk about that? Yeah, I think we talked about Micaiah talked about all this code, and I was trying to get across the fact that, and now I'm doing a video, but I was trying to get across the fact that in your Canadian static, you still kind of want to do this. We actually don't need to do this, but we could because we're sort of accessing this, and if it's null, then we too kind of want to find it for whatever reason. So, but anyway, so the creation method is like, hey, this is like instead of we don't have this create new instance anymore. What we do, and this is kind of how I tend to do it, is in the gets because I don't want to have all these functions to do all this stuff. So we just create a new game object and we name it. This is sort of a convention that someone came up with. Is a pretty good idea. We give it this double underscore. It's sort of, and then we set it as the first sibling, and then we add the mono behavior to that. And you can see that sort of in the scene here is that we have this singleton and we can actually destroy it. And you actually notice that it has no canvas attached to it. It has no text attached to it. We can just delete it. And that's sort of the other thing of efficiency of this system is we have this game canvas which has a button on it and a new notification and so we're doing this start, which is like start game is probably a horrible name, but it's like, we're playing this timer game where we want to get a certain time, and we also added the functionality that the fade is based on the time. So if it's a really quick time, yeah, 0.8, it's like, whoo, yeah, it's a little bit quicker. So how do we accomplish that? And then part of that too is like under the good, and it's not, it's on, the trying to use the best methods. Anyways, on the good game handler, the new notification doesn't use an instance anymore. We yeah, it's like I almost would make this private. Actually, I think I can make this private. Yeah. Yeah, I believe that's another improvement you can make is make this a private instance. Um, Oops. Here, let me. We might come back to that in a second. But yeah, so we could make this a private, and it's a little bit better because the code is not accessing that private instance variable. It's just saying, hey, this is what I want to do, and anyways, and you accomplish that by making this new set new notification, which is the exact same way with a static. We also have this text object, which is static, but I could have pointed this out, but I didn't. We don't actually have to have this text object right here as static. We can actually make it a non-static object, and we could say if the instance dot text object is not equal to null, then we can do something with that. And that's sort of like the really the best way I like to do it. Oh, and we're missing something more. What do we do? Oh yeah. So we need to sort of every time we access this, we need to say, hey, do it through that. Um, and so now we can actually, and then you can come over here, and I like this because it's not public. Is it? Shouldn't it be? Yeah. So we could add the serialized field, which is what? Yeah, here we go. I like to do this as well because even though it helps me in the inspector. No, right there. Maybe I don't think you can serialize a enumerator, which I just did, but anyways, we'll find out. Anyway, so this gives me a little bit idea because now I can say, oh hey, it's finding the text object, and then so where is this text object? This is just just the same thing, but it has this class of a text notification text, which is sort of it's set up in the scene already under the game canvas, and it's sort of and it itself handles like on the start yeah on the start a lot of this is just sort of handles itself. Anyways, so the notification manager asks the text manager to set the message, and we pass in this fade time because we want to. You can see it here. We can just click start game. It's just we set the message with the timer, and we just get a random timer. Anyway, so then we ask the text manager object which is the notification text, and we set this message, um, which is kind of like you wouldn't want to do. You could do a static through here, but it doesn't seem like we want this in the scene, and we don't want to destroy it. I did talk about this a little bit. Let me back up on here. When we find the object of the type, part of it is like is the game object active. This sort of becomes a problem. The other thing too we talked about up here, you can see we can use UI, and I've actually horribly. Anyways, we talked about the fact that you can use a UI to instantiate. That's a horrible. You can instantiate the UI, or create. There we go. You can create this through resources.load or any number of things that you see. Kind of UI manager kind of handle this link to this notification text, or just make this like a static, public static notification text. You can just do this like through a singleton, similar to how this works. But you couldn't do it through the creating the game object. I think you could actually maybe do that with but it might be. But then you got to parent it somehow. Anyways, the point is it just has the set message, and it has the last. The cool thing about this too is I think is under this we actually have the timer, and we actually have the starting a new game, so we can sort of see, and we can actually. Sorry, got a dose to some bad stuff yesterday, and I'm still kind of suffering from it. Anyway, so we do everything we sort of have done before. This is fade out was just called because we wanted to use the notification manager to fade out the notification, which we don't need to do because the text manager, the text instance actually handles. And is this the? Huh, I'm not. Oh, why is this not? It should complain that it's not. Oh, because this function isn't static is why it's not complaining it's not. So that just makes it are we in the text? Yeah, notification text. We just set the message. We run everything sort of the exact same way. There was a little bit of discussion about the time scale and the unscaled time, and it's because I was yielding on right here, and because of various things. But it seems like a kind of a moot point, and it's working now. But anyway, so it's quite a bit the new and improved way to handle a singleton, and we can actually just delete it and then just recreate it. But I think I don't know that you have a pretty cool system here, right here on your notification manager. A few points would be make this private, and then yeah, and then when you sort of and then maybe think about the on destroy, because or if you're ever going to want to destroy it, you would actually go instance.game object. I think would be a different way to handle it. But those two ways are kind of a sort of a problem. And if you actually look at the bad game handler, I'm not sure if there's a way to sort of so we've curtailed this bad behavior by eliminating the private message, and we could actually still kind of destroy it this way, and that could sort of still be a problem, but hopefully, so I'm not sure if there's a way to sort of just, we're destroying the instance. Oh, the other thing too I should talk about is like if when we try to create a second message, we under the notification manager, it through the create instance, this creates a second instance of this right here, and so it's like it creates this instantiates a brand new instance, and then sets the instance variable, the static variable, to that, and returns that as this sort of it's a static, but it's actually a separate static from the one you created. It's like this game object, and then when this awake here, it checks like if this instance is not equal to this, which is like then it goes through and checks this static instance, and it sort of says, hey, I have a old static instance that I've replaced with this new create new instance, and so that old static instance is lost to time and possibly not deleted, and that's why my computer was started chugging, because I've done it like 30, 50, 100 times, recorded. This is my fourth take or fifth take on the video. Anyway, so then we create the instance and stuff it into here, which is kind of like, this is just this whole this whole private function is like, you probably need to say if instance not equal to null, and stuff like that. And if it's, else return instance. It's like a kind of a, you're sort of doing all this logic that you kind of have to handle, because now you're just, and then you can maybe just make this a public static and, like, do it that way. But then it's like you're sort of, doing a lot of logic, and then you have to say, well, if you try to change any of your, it's a this function. I guess it's sort of the a takeaway for me is, and I'm not trying to be hypocritical on or critical on a lot of the other things you're doing, but it's sort of, oh yeah, no, we have to in terms of letting this be for the private here. Anyways, that's but this the I think the better way to handle this is to do this through. Um, let's say if we wanted to copy this, I think the better way to be to do that is through here. Like, if you really wanted to do it this way, that you would do like this. Um, and I think it's game object. You can actually do game object dot instantiate. Oh, and that's how you spell instantiate, by the way. Um, oh yeah. Oh, sorry. And then this is because this is a notification manager. No, I hate that. Are we in the? Oh, no, because we're in a new notification manager. My bad. The exact opposite. And then we could say new notification manager, whatever. And that could be another way to handle that as well. You could do it like that, and then still find the text object, and and then avoid doing it this way. Like, this way seems like it's a lot cleaner, but you could actually also do it through here. Um, and then let's see, and then we would actually. Anyway, so it's way beyond the scope of this video, and it's 30 minutes now. So thanks. So let's get back to the here and what happened? There we go. Dapper Dino, thanks. So that's kind of the takeaway. Thanks very much for doing the videos. I'm definitely one of your 3,000 plus subscribers, and I really look forward to more of development of your game and how cool it's looking and all the cool things you're doing. And hopefully, I should provide some more feedback on that. But anyways, and that's a part of the reason why I'm still trying to learn more about singletons and trying to see what other people are doing and sort of understand how it works and how they're using them. And like I think it helps me become a better Unity programmer, and that's kind of my goal. And anyway, so, and you were talking about, hey, if you have any ideas, well, maybe I'm the wrong person to ask that, but yeah. So hopefully you'll take some value out of it and sort of improve and sort of share, and and that's. But anyway, sorry. Again, I'm getting down to this. Let's see. I'm getting down to this. Like, as if I'm sort of not happy with your singleton, and it's like, it's really cool, and there's a lot of great value in the video you put out, and it sort of gives me a directed. That's why I took a couple hours to work on this, is because I really need to sort of wrap my head around it better as well. And so I definitely appreciate that. It's kind of the takeaway of this is kind of, I really do appreciate, and it's just some sort of comments and some ideas to try to improve the singletons that you do and how you can sort of make your game run, because it's like, it's not such a big deal when it's like you're sort of creating one text element, but when you have your entire your game menu and a lot of this complicated stuff, you could sort of clean it up, and then it might make it a little bit easier. I didn't talk about that as well, but when you are doing through the game handler, and it's sort of a quick sort of thing, but when you're accessing this, it's sort of like it can error out, which is probably a good thing. Like, if this is null, you'll get a null, null access exception. But to me, I really like the idea, and it's just per my personal take on this, is just allowing these really message classes to say, hey, set a new notification, and not worry about the instance. And then in here, then you worry about the instance here, and then you worry about the instance of the text, and then you access the text object because we want to see it. Which personally, and like to clean this up a little bit, you would want to make that a static text object because it's like it's not going to change, and then maybe you can turn that into its own singleton and all sorts of crazy things, and you could expand and make it cooler. But anyways, thanks very much. Sorry for such a long video, but it's like a lot of it's a lot of concepts, and and sort of showcasing um, um, and part of that too is like working on a bigger team. I think some of these things, like that's one thing I dread is like working on by myself. That's what I work for myself. I have a very limited team, and it's like I'm not working with more than a few people, and it's like if I was, then it's like I can imagine that people would sort of take the code that I use and the functions and libraries I have, and they could find a billion ways to break it. And it's like I'm trying to build a little bit more robust code because I want to expand out and join a bigger team. But anyways, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dapper Dino, and I totally appreciate your videos, and I hope you continue. You're really kind of inspiring me to. A lot of YouTubers are really inspiring me to want to work on my own devlogs and to try to improve and showcase some of that. Which I do have quite a few content on my channel, but I want to kind of focus on the creation of Hamlet and how that's going and some of the systems. That's kind of why this is like a small view of some of the systems I'm building for that. But your video did help me out, so I definitely appreciate that, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one. You take care.